Right, we're going to design this smiley face in Photoshop using shapes. So I'm going to make a new document, Control N. I'm going to make 1080 by 1080, 72 dpi. U, Control U, or sorry, not Control U, just U, should take you to the shape tool. We're going to be mostly using that today. You can toggle through them with Shift U. Should be able to anyway. Yeah, there you go. It's a bit slow. Toggle through the different shapes there. I'm just going to start with the circle. Holding down Shift on my version, because I am using the legacy transform. I don't know whether it affects shapes, but I'm using the legacy free transform. If you're not, then some things are going to scale differently for you. I've got used to the old ways. I'm going to make that yellow, and I'm going to make the stroke something around 60. Just Control T to scale that. So this is now a vector shape. For some reason it wasn't letting me select that, wasn't liking it. This is a vector shape, which means we can scale that and it won't pixelate as long as it's still a vector shape. At 100% it shouldn't be pixelated. Doesn't mean that you can zoom in forever, but it does mean as long as it's rendered to the screen size, it won't pixelate itself. Go into the circle to make another shape layer. This time I'm just making it filled and getting rid of the stroke. I'm going to Alt drag that. I have the eyes on two separate layers. Make the mouth. There's a reason why I'm doing it this rather slow way. So just using the white arrow, direct selection tool, you can edit the vector points on a shape layer, and you can move the handles to adjust the curves. So right now A is all you need here. Going back to V, the other tool, and moving it. I'm going to scale it. I'm going to flatten those two together. That's Control E. The two eyes are now on the same layer, and I can centralize everything. I don't want to do that. Make those the same layer, then I can do that. Hey, it looked fine before. Okay, so there is our basic smiley. I'm going to apply some effects to the eyes and the nose and the mouth. Sorry, no nose. It's a smiley face. First of all, bevel and emboss to get that sort of feeling that it's a badge. That can be done with an inner bevel. Now I can only apply one bevel and emboss per layer. So right now I'm going to copy that layer, Control J, and I'm going to turn off the one on top. I'm going to edit the one below, change the bevel and emboss. Rather than to be inner bevel, I'm going to go to outer bevel. Take the opacity of the shadow right down. Consider maybe using it as an overlay, because the grey is a little, the screen's not going to show up. So here on the gloss contour, that's something you can play around with to try and accentuate the shape. I'm not going to play with that, I'm going to play with contour here. I'm going to make a custom shape to just try and work on this contour. You can pick from the defaults or the presets, but for this one I just wanted to edit my own to bring this down into a bit more of a concave chamfer, however you call it. Okay, I'm going to apply a subtle, trying for a subtle gradient overlay over this, and I'm going to angle it slightly to the top left corner. I'm going to try give it a little bit of light interaction by putting a tiny bit of inner glow on it. It's very subtle, but it does. But hopefully just gives a little bit of light bleed. So I'm thinking that gradient overlay could be set to reflected, and going to hit reverse. Change the angle. That's cool. Now for the outer shape, I'm going to double click and apply it bevel and emboss. I want to apply it to the stroke. That sort of bevel and emboss you can apply to a stroke, but it's not on the shape. So I'm going to get rid of the stroke on the shape and apply it as an effect. There's a stroke set to inside. I'm going to reduce the size of the stroke a bit. And the bevel and emboss is set to stroke emboss, which means it's applied to the stroke. Now this is ticked, use global light. As you see, I can tilt that now and get these live updating light effects. You can experiment with some of the presets. See what you can get. So I've just turned on that layer to give us that bevel and emboss effect over there. I'm going to switch that to overlay. And we're pretty much done. As you can see, you could apply more gradients to everything. You can apply more gloss manually. A nice thing to do is apply a new brush layer. Control-Shift-N. Annoyingly, my taskbar is obscuring my tool layers there down the bottom. So I've reset my workspace recently to try and mimic more close to what you might see when you first go into Photoshop. I set it back to Essentials, but I normally have it set to Arty, but that wouldn't have helped me here either. The bottom of the screen is still obscured. So I'm just going to put some paint on some little highlights. Just a dot, and then squish that dot using the transform and the rotate tool. enough to give you a little highlight light bead. And if you really want to, you can push it slightly. Using the sort of smudge tool, you can manually sort of smudge little highlights into place. So these obviously are not vector, and these will pixelate. That's a little bit blotchy, needs to be smoothed out, but you get the idea. A smiley face badge effect.